This is MacBeth Act I. This play is set in Scotland and begins with three witches who have gathered on the Scottish moors awaiting Macbeth. They don't stick around very long, but don't worry, we'll see them again very soon. Next we find ourselves in a military encampment. Scotland is embroiled in a civil war, with the traitor MacDonald and the Thane of Cowdor, Thane being a Scottish nobleman's title, allied with the King of Norway against King Duncan of Scotland. Duncan asks the wounded captain how the battle is going, and the captain replies that Macbeth, one of Duncan's generals, has slain the traitor MacDonald, and that Macbeth and Banquo, another one of Duncan's generals, have driven the Norwegian army back. At this point, another Scottish nobleman, Ross, arrives on the scene with a message for Duncan. The Thane of Cowdor has been captured and imprisoned. This is excellent news for Duncan. He declares that the Thane of Cowdor will be executed, and the new Thane of Cowdor will be Macbeth. At this point, the scene shifts back to the three witches from the beginning of the play. At this point, Macbeth and Banquo both enter the scene, and the witches greet Macbeth as the new Thane of Cowdor, news which he has not yet received. So he is confused and says, "I'm not Thane of Cowdor, I'm Thane of Glamis." "No, you're both," says the witch, "and furthermore, you're going to become the king." King? Macbeth can hardly believe it. Banquo says, "Well, hey, what about me?" I wouldn't make any long-term plans," says the witch, "but your kids, that's looking more promising." At this point, the witches leave, and Ross enters the scene with some other Scottish noblemen, bringing the news that Macbeth has been named Thane of Cowdor, fulfilling one of the witches' prophecies. Oh, and also, Duncan would like to see both Macbeth and Banquo at his castle in Forres. Privately, Macbeth asks Banquo if he thinks the prophecies could be true. Could he really be King of Scotland? To which Banquo says, "You know, maybe it's best if you don't listen to the evil witch ladies who live in the swamp. They could be trying to trick us." This turns out to be stunningly good advice, but Macbeth just can't stop thinking about the possibility of becoming king. The scene now shifts to Duncans Castle in Forres, where Malcolm, Duncan's eldest son, is informing his father of the news that the Thane of Cawdor has been executed. At this point, Banquo and Macbeth enter the scene, and Duncan congratulates them on their great victory, and informs Macbeth that he will be dining with him at Macbeth's Castle in Inverness that very evening. And in case anybody was curious, Malcolm is Duncan's heir. The next scene takes place in Inverness Castle, where Macbeth has sent a letter to his wife, Lady Macbeth, explaining that he has been promoted to Thane of Cawdor, and also about the prophecy of the witches that he will be made king. Lady Macbeth believes her husband is ambitious enough to be king, but that he is too kindly to take the necessary steps that would require him to seize the throne. She determines that she has to be the one that gives him the push that moves him into the direction of killing Duncan and becoming King of Scotland. She vows to do everything she can to help her husband achieve his goal. At this point, Macbeth arrives, informing her that Duncan will be arriving that evening to dine with them, but will be departing the next morning. "Oh no," says Lady Macbeth, "Duncan is never leaving this castle alive." Next, we see Duncan arriving at the castle, thanking Lady Macbeth for being such a gracious host, and Lady Macbeth tells him that they are so pleased that he came to visit, but the whole while she's plotting about how they're going to be getting rid of Duncan. Next we see Macbeth, who is having second thoughts about killing Duncan. Duncan is a very popular king, and Macbeth is his host and his kinsman. This would be a great betrayal. But Lady Macbeth enters and tells him that a true man would do whatever was necessary to seize power. Besides, they're not going to get caught. Here's what they're going to do. Lady Macbeth is going to drug the wine of Duncan's bodyguards. Once they are asleep, Macbeth can go in and finish the job. Macbeth is then to take some of the blood from Duncan's body, spread it on the guards, and plant the dagger near them, so that it looks like the guards killed Duncan. Macbeth is impressed with Lady Macbeth's planning, and decides that he will go through with it. And that brings us to the end of Act 1.